This interview is a paid advertisement. It was produced on behalf of the company and is considered investor relations activity under Canadian securities law. All statements and opinions are those of the guest and should not be construed as investment advice. Please do your own due diligence or consult a registered investment advisor. Hello and welcome to the Gold Newsletter channel. My name is Kai Hoffman. I'm the @JR Mining guy over on X, and together with our good friend Brian London, I'm the host of the Gold Newsletter channel, and it's time for a company introduction. Really excited to be presenting to you Lavras Gold today, because I'll be joined by Mike Durose, and really looking forward to catching up with him. Really interesting project down in Brazil. Lots of targets, lots of discoveries actually already, and really interesting drill results that we need to talk about. But before I switch over to my guest, hit that like and subscribe button. Helps us out tremendously, reaching a wider investor audience, and we thank you for it. It's a free way to support us. Why wouldn't you do it, right? So, Mike, thanks so much for coming on the program. It's good to see you. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thanks, Guy. Good to see you again as well. Yeah, thanks for inviting us.
Yeah, really looking forward to catching up. Last time we spoke, I think, was in Beaver Creek in September. So it's a really opportune time to catch up over half a year. Or what is it now? 8-9 months ago. But for our audience who don't know the company yet, maybe we'll start with a bit of a general overview. Use the first 60 seconds. Let's just introduce Lavras Gold, Mike.
Sure. So Lavras Gold is a company that was started and went public in April 2022. We were spun out of our predecessor company called Amarillo Gold. Our focus is in Brazil on our project in southern Brazil called the LDS Project, or the Lavras do Sol Project. We currently have a gold resource of about 1 million ounces in 2 of 24 known targets that we talk about on our property. Our current focus is drilling out at what we call Buchia and Fazenda de Posto. And also we have some other discoveries in the region as well that we're also testing to try and create value for all shareholders.
No, fantastic. Appreciate that overview, Mike. Just to get everybody on the same, level and playing field here, cap structure is another one I'd like to discuss at first. Run us a bit through it, cash position, warrants, anything we should worry about.
Yeah, so we it's a great question, actually. One of the things we've tried to do is keep a very tight capital structure. I think as a general philosophy for the company, financial engineering is just as important as technical engineering. So we currently have 58.3 million shares outstanding, just over 5 million options. We have no warrants. And our cash position as of March, the end of March, was about 13.3 million Canadian. Our burn rate is about 700,000 to 800,000 a month, primarily through drilling and exploration activity, and a small amount for running the company and overheads and G&A and that sort of thing.
No, brilliant. I like tight, and I like no warrants. That's absolutely fantastic, Mike. We have to talk use of proceeds, of course. Or not use of proceeds, but use of the cash, like $13.3 million. Maybe we'll start very high level. Or, you know what? I'm getting ahead of myself, Mike. Apologies. Let's talk history of the project first, real quick, before we talk about what has been done and what are you planning to do. Run us a bit through the history of the projects and the targets, and then we'll get to that.
Yeah, so like I said, we went public in April 2022. At the time, we had about 500,000 ounces of gold at our most advanced project called Buchia. When we were spun out from Amarillo Gold, we were spun out with 10 million in cash. We actually created a 2% revenue-based royalty on all the exploration ground around a project that we sold to Hawkshells called Mara Rosa. So we have that as well. But immediately we got 2 drills on site down at Lavras, and we started drilling away on a number of targets. As I mentioned, we had at least 24 that we defined on the property. So we started sequencing through them with 2 drills and the 10 million in cash we had. We made a number of very interesting discoveries, prioritizing our targets. We found different styles of gold mineralization on the property. But back in 2022, really weren't getting a lot of market reaction, even though we were getting some good results. Like, for example, at Zucasuza, we were getting things like 43 grams per ton over 4 meters, only 30 meters below surface. Another target we drilled was metallurgical extension, kind of a sulfide, copper sulfide type target. We got 10 meters of 13 grams gold, 22 grams per ton silver, 0.22% copper, for example. And then sort of 14 months into our program, we hit a monster hole at what we call Fazenda de Posto, 340 meters of 1.1 grams per ton gold, literally only 150 meters just to the northwest of 500,000 ounces of gold at Buchia. So our focus really focused on that area for the last couple of years, really to try and define that mineralized footprint and hopefully prove that this will be the first economically viable project on the property.
Yeah, really interesting there, Mike. Maybe just to follow up on that, it's like the prioritization and targeting. Like, run us a bit through it without getting too technical, but
Yeah.
how'd you figure it out? Like, why'd you drill certain targets first or over others?
Yeah, that's a good question. In essence, the way it works in mineral exploration, especially when it's kind of earlier stage, is you're managing what we call discovery risk. So the reality of this exploration business is that only 1 in 400 or 1 in 500 mineral targets or mineral occurrences that you drill off will actually become economically viable. And so what it means is you have to essentially kiss a lot of frogs before you find what you're looking for. So that was kind of our approach. And so we sort of systematically prioritized our drill targets just based on geology and, just trying to figure out where we thought we would have the best chance of, achieving our ultimate goal, which is to find an economically viable gold project. So we started cycling through them. So we drilled probably about 8 or 9 targets before we actually hit Fazenda de Posto. And we were very fortunate on that hole, but it was really based on some really good geology that led us to hit that blind target when we drilled it.
No, fantastic. What are you doing to follow up on that? Like, what is sort of, maybe it's a good question to throw in here now, is sort of the business plan. Like, what is the overall goal, perhaps, Mike?
So again, right from the very beginning, our chief goal was to define or find as quickly as possible some kind of an economically viable gold mining project. So that's the goal. We're not doing this because we're interested in geology per se. We're looking at it from a very commercial perspective. And so you want to be very efficient in terms of trying to define what will potentially become economic. So what does that mean? Well, it means that you need mineralization that when you mine it, you're going to make money. And we think we're onto that at our Boutia Fazenda de Posto area. We've actually drilled since about September 2023, when we made that discovery. We've drilled something like just over 50,000 meters now total into both Boutia Fazenda de Posto, as we're trying to delineate out that deposit. And as we sort of see the geometry and the grade distribution, the next step is to understand the metallurgy. So we have actually started to do some very detailed metallurgical work on both of these target areas. And so it's all part of this whole de-risking process to, again, define this economically viable project.
You just mentioned the names of the 2 targets and just sort of one long name. Are you planning to sort of combine the area at some of the target area and turn that into just one bigger resource potentially? Yeah,
that's a really good question. Yeah, so if you go to our corporate presentation on our website, we actually have started to show that. With the drilling that we've done, it looks like these basically the names are based on the 2 claim blocks that we have. We had Boutia, and then just to the west of that, it was our Fazenda de Posto claim block. At the time when we made the discovery, we didn't know if they were connected, but what we have started to do with our drilling is show that, they are. It looks like they are part of the same mineral system. So once we get to the point of pulling a holistic resource together, we'll probably combine the 2 of them, and then we'll rename it to one deposit or one project name, just to keep it simple. So that's kind of where we're at with it, but we're also starting to step out and looking for a bigger footprint from what is obvious. And that's kind of the next phase of our exploration strategy around this area.
No, really interesting, because you just put out a drill hole about, 8 days ago from Boutia that is just as good or even better than what you had at Fazenda. Can you explain that a little bit? Because that sort of proves the point that it's very similar geology there.
Yeah, the geology is very similar. It's a very, without getting too technical, it's a very unique kind of alkaline mineral system, but we're getting very continuous mineralization over literally hundreds of meters. The one hole we just put out 8 days ago was drilled through Boutia, and I think it was something like 371 meters of about a gram on average. The bottom of the hole, we actually got about 50 meters of 3.4 grams per ton gold. On that set of vertical depth of about 273 meters. So it's right through the guts of the Boutia mineral deposit. And then now we're finding a nice high grade, potentially some kind of a feeder. We don't really know at this stage, but it was nice to see it. And, it's continuous mineralization from the very surface right through to the bottom. And that's very interesting, because it's very rare to find mineralization sitting right at surface these days in these mineral deposits. And what that means, or what it potentially might mean is, if you start mining at Boutia, you'll be mining right from surface, and you don't have any waste stripping to do to get to the ore deposit or the mineralization, which is very unique. And so that can potentially enhance the economics in the future of some kind of an open pit mine.
Yeah, it's like how does that new hole that you put out from Boutia sort of fit with the resource, and like sort of run us through it? Like what's some of the context around that hole?
Yeah, so we drilled through some so at Boutia. Just to be clear, what we've been doing at Boutia, as I mentioned, that was our most advanced deposit when we started the company back in 2022. And so once we made the Fazenda de Posto discovery just adjacent to Boutia, our goal was to try and increase the footprint of Boutia and also increase the measured, indicated, inferred resource, and convert a lot of that inferred mineralization into measured and indicated. So increase the confidence of that resource estimate, but also look for extensions to the footprint. So this deeper intercept, the 50 meters of 3.4 grams, is actually an extension to what we knew before. So that's adding to the overall physical footprint at Boutia. So that's really the context of that hole.
How far away are you from a resource update on Boutia or the new resource target area? Of course, that's one of the probably major catalysts, and you probably get that question a lot, Mike.
No, for sure. So what we've been doing, we're still drilling it out, and we're still finding more, and we're still trying to define the limits of the mineralization. So that's the context. But I would say, what we've tried to do what we have done with our disclosure is we put out all the drill collar locations. We put out all the composites so that people can plot up the drill holes on their own and make their own estimates. And I've seen some estimates out there which are pretty good. But I would say in terms of an official number, I would say sometime in 2026 is realistic. But we'll, as soon as we feel we've drilled what we can, then we'll put that number out.
Yeah. No, fair enough. And I think we got a little bit ahead of ourselves because we're talking about future catalysts already. We got to talk about the exploration program that's ongoing right now, Mike. Sure. Run us a bit through that. How far along are you? When we spoke in September, I think you have a bit of a broken exploration year because you're in the southern hemisphere versus what we have here in the northern hemisphere, of course. So run us a bit through it. How far along are you? What's the status?
Yeah, so last year we drilled about 17,400 meters, and then that was off of a 25,000 meter drilling contract. So we actually, through the first half or the first part of 2025, we've actually completed that original 25,000 meter drilling contract. We've just actually re-signed another 25,000 meter drilling contract, so we're seamlessly continuing to drill. So we're going to keep drilling. Where we're focusing right now is primarily Boutia, Fazenda de Posto area. We also have another target up to about 3 kilometers to the northeast called Olaria on what we call our Candelaria concession. So we're drilling up there looking for new discoveries as well. In fact, last December, we announced a discovery at what we call Olaria, was 50 meters of about a gram of continuous gold mineralization, about 100 meters below surface type of thing. So we're following up on that, and we have other targets that we want to test, and it's a bit of a evolving sort of situation as we start to understand the geology better. But what I can say is we've literally been drilling every single day since we went public in April 2022, and that's what's created the value for our stakeholders, and we're going to continue to do that into the future.
Bit of a technical question, Mike, but just looking at the map and the presentation as well. But have you done any geophysics or so, that is guiding you, where you can see, because the targets are fairly close to each other, like at least on my little PowerPoint presentation here. But are they connected geophysically as well? Like, are there similarities?
Yeah, so we have done airborne geophysics. We've done magnetic surveys across the entire property. And if you look at that map, you'll see this kind of big circular feature. That circular feature is the remnants of an old magma chamber, essentially. It measures about 12 kilometers in diameter. And then off to the west side, you've got the original country rocks that these magmas intruded into. And then off to the east side, we have these volcanic rocks, which were the original volcanic rocks in this area. The MAG survey, drone survey that we did, covers the entire region. So we have a very good feel for the structural setting. It's complex. We've also done regional geochemistry. And so we're using both of these things to try and help us with our targeting. And then we're following up on a lot of old showings. So the Portuguese arrived in this area in the late 1700s and with subsequent European workers in the area. And So there's old tunnels, trenches, pits, that sort of thing, old workings that we know about. And so we follow up on those as well and sample them, and then we just drill to see what's creating the the gold mineralization in this area. So it's a big system. And again, being a junior, you got to be focused, or you can blow your brains out really quickly by spending everywhere. So this has been our strategy, is to very systematically explore these things out, and firstly define a resource that we think will be mineable, which we hope Boutia Fazenda will be, and then from there, keep exploring to find more, because it truly is a regional district that we have.
Just to follow up on the drill program real quick, or the contract that you just signed, Mike, cost, and when do you plan on starting to drill?
Oh, we're drilling now. Like
Okay.
I said, I think we got 2 drills turning right now, with a third sort of sitting in the wings if we want to crank it up. Well, as you mentioned, we're in southern Brazil, so it's their rainy season, or their wet season. So logistics gets a bit more challenging, but that's fine. So I'd say by September, October, we can ramp things up again. But costs, it's about 265 Canadian a meter. So we're in an area of really good infrastructure. So this is the reason we're able to continuously drill away on these different.
Is that including assays? Is that all?
That includes assays. That's all in. Yeah.
No, fair enough. What's in the lab right now? How many meters and how many holes are in the lab, Mike?
Oh boy, there's quite a few. I would say. I mean, I don't have a specific number for you, but it's dozens of holes are in the lab right now, and that's the log jam, is just getting those assay results back. But as soon as we get them, we just put them together and then get them out into the market as quickly as we can. So, yeah, it'll be continuous for sure.
No, fantastic. I feel like we've covered a lot of ground here, Mike, and I'm scratching my head like whether we forgot anything. We of course need to talk about upcoming catalysts. We talked about the resource that you plan to put out in 2026, but maybe near-term catalysts. Next 3 to 6 months, we're going into the summer now.
I would say ongoing drilling results, hopefully, will be the key catalyst. But we are de-risking, and in the 3 years we've been public, or just about 3 years now, we've gone from sort of hopes and dreams of finding something that we think will become economically viable to, thinking that, we probably have something that's going to become economically viable. So what we're starting to do with Boutia Fazenda is we're starting to position it for permitting. As you know, permitting timelines can take forever in this industry. And so in Brazil, the first permit you need to get is called the preliminary license, or the LP. So you basically have to complete a environmental impact assessment on a hypothetical mine for the area that you want to potentially develop something in. So this is why we're doing the metallurgy. This is why we're drilling intensely at Boutia Fazenda, so we can start to position the project for a path to permitting and ultimately to production. So that's part of the strategy. It's bifurcating. But in the meantime, as I mentioned, we're going to continue to drill and explore to create value, because we really believe that the drill bit's where you're going to create value for all the shareholders over time.
Oh, 100%. And then, as you touched on metallurgy, I had written down to ask you about that. How far along is the metallurgical test work?
Yeah, very good. So we're using SGS Lab in Belo Horizonte. I was there about 6 weeks ago, walking through the lab with the guys. So we've sent 5 150 kilogram composite samples to the lab from Boutia. And we've just sent another 3 from Fazenda to Posto. So the metallurgy is well underway. So the idea behind that is we want to understand the gold recoveries, and then ultimately the milling process that you would use to extract the gold.
I would assume you'd use the metallurgical results for the resource calculation as well,
sure.
and not just wing it based on what the neighbors are doing.
No, these are very detailed metallurgical sampling program, and if you go again to our presentation, there's some slides in there that sort of talk to it and give people a sense as to what's involved.
Perfect. Mike, near term, just press releases like we can expect really is the drill results, obviously.
Drill results, metallurgy, just more of the same, really. And we just try and keep everybody informed. And we do spend a lot of time going to these investor conferences, so certainly happy to meet with as many investors as we can to try and provide a bit of flavor as to how things are going. But I'd say things are going very, very well for us. We've been able to finance well. We've got some really strong backers, investors. Management and insiders are 30% of the company, and we buy in the market as well as participate in financing. So, we're all aligned to make this a success.
Absolutely. I've just saw your insider purchases as well, just the last couple of days ago, I think. So
Yes. Yeah.
fantastic. No, Mike, really appreciate you coming on. It was great to catch up. We haven't spoken in a while as well, so really appreciate the update. And thanks so much for doing this.
Yeah. Thank you, Kai, and all the best.
No, thank you so much. And to everybody else, thanks so much for tuning into the Gold Newsletter. Hope you found this update with Mike informative. I sure did, because I've met Mike a couple of times, and I've been taking a closer look at the company. I'm really liking what I'm seeing here and how this is coming together. And let us know if you have any questions. We'll put them down below in the comments. We'll definitely catch up with Mike soon here. Probably see him in Beaver Creek early September, the very latest. But I know questions are usually timely. So put them down below and I'll shoot them off to Mike as well. So thanks so much for tuning in. We'll be back with lots more here on the Gold Newsletter channel. Take care out there.